Oh, hey, welcome back, everyone. Now, what do you say today we take a look at a really impressive optic that you've probably never heard of before? And today I'm excited to show you the Maven RS.1 2.5-15 with the MOA2 reticle. And I'm sure it's going to make the internet angry to look at an actual functional optic instead of another LPVO, but let's get to it. So I know it's kind of the new cool guy thing to hate on LPVOs, but I've really had a love for mid-range optics for kind of a while now. And this really started with the Primary Arms 2.5-10 Griffin, where I was shocked that it had better eye relief and image quality than any LPVO I'd seen before that. And dropping the 1x just seems so smart because most people realize that LPVOs do 1x's so horribly that they're running offset red dots anyway. And that whole setup just gets stupidly redundant. Like if you're already aware that your 1x is so trash that you need an offset red dot, then just ditch the 1x altogether. Plus, the LPVO has a fixed parallax at 100 yards, meaning anything inside or outside of that distance will have more and more deviation if you're not perfectly consistent with your rifle positioning. But the mid-range optic is a real scope, so that means you have parallax control. So then you're not getting image divergence as distance changes, and you can also just dial it in so it's all set up correctly. And the more and more scopes I see, the more and more I really fall in love with the mid-range and offset red dot setup. Now, your mileage may vary, just be aware that you're probably wrong. All right, so I have been looking for the best overall mid-range optic, so let me kind of show you what we've seen so far and where they've all kind of ranked on our list. First, we have the powerhouse of the Primary Arms 2.5-10 Griffin with its insane eye box and industry-leading reticle design. Next is the Crimson Trace Hardline Pro 4-16 with its tactile controls and insane glass quality. And then in third, we have the Arken 4-16 Gen 2 with its extremely precise turret controls. And I'm really excited to see where the RS1 ends up on our list of scopes here. Now, before we get too far though, let's revisit one more time who the heck Maven Optics is. Maven is a company that aims to give higher tier optics and gear to the hunter that needs premium components without the boutique prices. And Maven works to cut out the sales middleman to provide products that punch way above other products in the same price tier. And I had the opportunity to review the Maven RF1 rangefinder, and I loved that thing so much that it became like the main rangefinder that I use for the entire channel. No gimmicks, no stupid apps, just a powerhouse of a rangefinder. So I'm actually hoping that this optic is just as exciting as that rangefinder. So today we'll do what we normally do and do a bunch of tests, and we'll start out by seeing what all comes in the box. Then we'll mount this guy up and then we'll go over the reticle, and then we'll do a series of tests to include turret rotation and zero stop, magnification throw, illumination, eye relief, parallax, and glass quality. And then we'll go test it out on the range and we'll do what we normally do and wrap it up with some pros and cons. But there is something really unique with this scope that I want to show you that I've never seen somebody do before. On the website, there is actually an option for a custom optic builder. Here, things get pretty wild. You're able to make choices not only on some simple accent colors, but you can also choose all sorts of different color variations on all sorts of different accents on the scope. I played with this for a bit and I really loved the look of the subdued green accents. You also have the option to make custom engraving for whatever you may want on there. And I know I'd love some wizard engravings to give a middle finger to our biggest fans out there. All right, though, let's see this thing up close and show everything that comes in the box. All right, so here's our actual Maven box. It looks nice with the black and that Maven logo. Also included was this Maven sticker and a cleaning cloth. You know, I need more cleaning cloths. At least the sticker looks pretty cool. All right, though, let's get this thing open and see what all comes in here. Ooh, okay, this looks pretty fancy. Maven rifle scopes. Let's get this all opened up. And this is pretty nice, simplistic. Is there some sort of writing or something on here? Not really. Okay, so then we have the actual scope, and this is nice. There's not like a ton of different things in here. What's this though? Look underneath here. Oh, I guess I gotta pull all this out. Okay, so what's this? Oh, okay. So there's an actual Maven cover that goes over the whole scope. I've been seeing a lot more of these lately. That seems to be pretty common. Then we have our actual instructions. Just flipping through here. We're going to go through a whole lot of this. I really don't know why I show this, but maybe you really want to know more about all the different individual specifications on how to like tighten things and zero stop. This thing doesn't have a zero stop, but we'll go over all that when we look at everything. And maybe you really want to know the differences between like first focal plane and second focal plane. I mean, I'm hoping you know all this stuff at this point. Now, this is cool. This shows some of the other different reticles if you want to see some of the different offerings they have. I like some of the more complicated stuff. Jason likes some of the more simple stuff, but it just kind of shows you there's a lot of different options. If I can figure out how to turn the pages. But yeah, these go on. And I wish they would focus on just one reticle in the manual instead of like every single one they offer. This just seems like a whole lot. Yeah. All right, I think that's it. Okay. Now let's get the actual optic out. Looks like we just got to peel everything out of this actual plastic here. And we'll do some editing movie magic. And voila, there we go. We got it all out. Now here's our actual scope. And I really like the finish on this, like with that black and gray. That just looks, I don't know, this looks really, really nice. Let's actually look at some of the features though. First, I'm gonna look at the actual diopter and yeah, okay, it looks really nice and it's just buttery smooth. That makes me pretty happy. Looking at the magnification throw, you see it's knurled all the way around. It kind of has that little marker. It's kind of a marker. I guess it's kind of also a throw lever. It's kind of small to be a throw lever. It's really just a marker. It is knurled all the way around, so it's pretty easy to get a good purchase on it. I just wish there was something bigger. Okay, next is the parallax. Oh, this is super nice. It's just enough resistance to be tight, but not so much to be an issue. Okay, taking off these caps. We see their cap turrets. Let's see how they sound. Ooh. Ooh, that's super nice. No real play or anything in this. We'll mess with these a little bit more. I just assume the top's the exact same design, same top turret cap, and oh, yep. Oh, yeah, those are nice. I really won't mess with it so much with the reticle we have, but it's nice that it'll be easy to zero. So let's just throw these bad boys back on. I'm kind of curious as we go as what the eye relief is, and that is really good right out of the box. Well, that's everything that comes with it if you're curious as to what all you get in the box. But did you see just how crazy that eye relief is? And you guys don't see this, but it's actually pretty tricky to look through a scope with a 18mm lens. So I'll just say that I'm pretty sure I know how that eye relief test is gonna go. But let's go ahead and mount this guy all up. And I know I owe you a video, but I just threw this guy on a Warren X-Scale 1.5 QD mount. This mount works phenomenally while also not breaking the bank. And I'll be honest, the Warren X-Scale has really been my go-to mount when I need just like a no-kidding mount that's gonna do phenomenally, but I don't really want, Instagram pricing. And I like this mount setup as it's incredibly easy to install, while also giving me the ability to swap scopes on the range if I'm testing multiple scopes on a single range trip. And having the 1.5-inch height really lends it more towards that 15x magnification instead of using like a 1.93 height that lends more towards the 1x side of the scope. Here will make everybody mad. Remember, lower, longer, taller, closer. No, I'm not wrong. You guys just watch too much YouTube. And it's why the Goobers group doesn't even run a magnifier, because they're focused on a 6-inch engagement distance. All right, now that we got all the sweaty kids that nobody cares about mad, let's dig into that reticle. Since the Maven RS.1 is a first focal plane reticle, I'll show you the 2.5x first. Here you can see the reticle has stadia lines that extend all the way to the edges of the scope on the 3, 6, and 9 o'clock positions. Now, usually I would complain that the 12 o'clock is missing, but with the scope being 2.5x, the lines are large and clear and make it really easy to track the center reticle at lower magnifications. The center of the reticle is also a dot, but it's kind of hard to see, and you would more likely just engage with the stadia lines as a reference. But if you needed precision, you could dial the reticle all the way up to 15, and then we see how the reticle transforms, and now we can easily see all the different MOA markings. And it should be known by this point because I've said it so much, but I haven't said it yet, so I'll go ahead and say it. Because it has those MOA markings, that means you can use this reticle for multiple barrel lengths, multiple calibers, and multiple bullet weights. I mean, all you really need to remember is that mid-range is king though. Now, here I'll overlay the subtensions of the reticle if you want to see those, but these can get really confusing. You don't have any of the cool horizontal and vertical ranging tricks like on some of the primary arm scopes, but you do have some simple and easy to use reticle markings. The top and sides of the reticle gives you MOA markings so you can give target location along with proper adjustments for bullet impacts. The lower segment of the reticle gives you an MOA Christmas tree with larger diamonds at 10 and 20 MOA. Along the sides are also MOA windage markers to help make quick windage adjustments. So that means all you would need to do is record the proper dope distances for your cartridge, and then if you knew the distance, you could just move to that MOA marker and then engage. The windage markers would also give you the ability to make easy corrections without having to aim out randomly in space. And if you've never made corrections just out in scope's no man's land, you don't realize how annoying that can be. I will say this reticle is a little more simple than like a full function weapon system like the Griffin reticle, but it's fully functional and I don't see any glaring faults with it. I'll just say it can require a bit more know-how. All right, let's get into the tests, and first we're going to look at the actual turret rotation and the zero stop. Here we see the Maven RS1 uses cap turrets, and I find I prefer this style of caps as they can't be bumped or moved at all when you're moving from position to position. But you can also purchase the MOA turret off the Maven website if you really want that as an option. But having all the holdovers on the actual reticle itself means you don't really need to dial anything in once you have your zero set though. But the turrets themselves have a nice clean feel to them, and they have a nice audible and tactile click. There's no slop in the turrets, and its adjustments aren't so fine as to not know how many clicks you did. The turret also makes adjustments in 1/4 MOA per click. And I've realized that most people on the internet don't realize that 1/3 of a pound is more than 1/4 pound. So let's talk about what those adjustments are in terms of like 1/10 of a mil adjustment. Now, 1 MOA is 1 inch at 100 yards, meaning each quarter click is 0.25 inches. Now, 1 mil translates to 3.6 inches at 100 yards, which means the finer 0.1 mil adjustment is actually 0.36 inches per click, which makes the quarter MOA adjustment actually finer than the 0.1 mil adjustment. And now I have all of you at home trying to do basic math. Just believe me when I say that the turret adjustment is really simple and really fine, and it's easy to get your zero set. Now, the RS1 does not have a zero stop, but as we stated, the reticle has all the subtensions marked and uses cap turrets. So I don't know exactly why you'd be spinning that guy all around when you're trying to engage your target. And here's where we start to see some familiarity with the Maven Rangefinder, where the Maven scope doesn't include a bunch of useless features. And you can see that they're instead focusing all their energy on way more useful features. All right, next let's go test illumination, and well, you're gonna laugh, but I love this. The RS1 doesn't have any illumination. And as scope illumination is somewhere between okay and trash, I'm not entirely upset by this. So just be aware that the Maven RS1 has no illumination at all on this optic model. Those features come on some of their higher tier models like the RS4 and RS5 though, so look at those models if you're just dying for scope illumination. And as we go, we'll see how having no illumination kind of affects the overall scope ranking, but as it is, I'm not really dogging them right now for dropping the illumination to focus on some other scope features. Kind of like how the Maven Rangefinder focuses on being a rangefinder, not so much a phone app. All right though, let's keep this bus moving, and next we're gonna go on to Magnification Throw. Looking at the throw knob itself, we see the entire ring is knurled and has a nice bite to it. There is an included nub as a throw lever, but it's a bit too short to be able to get a purchase on and really just works as a magnification reference point. And it looks like it could be removed and swapped out though. I just wish it was a good bit taller so I could actually grab onto it. The actual throw of the magnifier is a full 180 degrees. This is actually about perfect, as it gives you a great reference as you travel from 2.5 all the way across to 15x, and you can quickly and easily see where your magnification is set. The entire travel of the magnification ring is silky smooth and just screams with refinement. I do think it would be a step up to have a throw lever though. And Maven does have one on the website that you can purchase. But I'll be completely honest that a huge manual shift lever isn't exactly what I'm looking for. All right, let's move on to the next test, and next we have our eye relief. And this Maven RS1 just nails what the mid-range optics do so well. Eye relief. From 2.5 to 15, you have a ridiculously forgiving eye box that makes getting on target just extremely easy. Moving up to 15 times magnification, I even found the 15x eye box to be a little more forgiving than many LPVOs I've seen at 6x. And for you LPVO lovers out there, that means more than twice the magnification, but the same eye box as a 6x. And these tests can often be extremely difficult to capture, so hopefully this footage is showing you just how insanely well this Maven RS1 performs in terms of eye relief. See, mid-range is the way. All right, well, let's see if it can deliver as well in the next test also, and here we're gonna look at glass quality. Well, pat me on the back, I actually figured out how to focus my trigger cam correctly. And here now you can see that glass quality is nothing short of stupendous. Zooming in on a bush at 600 yards, we can easily see all the details of the leaves and even the slight mirage in the air. Moving to our house at 930 yards, we're able to make out some details I've never previously seen. I had no idea that shack was missing so many shingles. It's just a serious case of wow with this glass. If you look closely, you can also still make out the slightest mirage for windage corrections. This scope would make this 900 plus yard shot so stupidly easy. Well, I'll be honest, I'm not really missing that illumination at this point, but we do have one more test to do, and that's gonna be the parallax adjustment. And hold on to your hats because this is ridiculous. Looking at the side parallax control knob first, we see slight notches that make for an easy purchase with your hand. The control itself is buttery smooth, and it has the perfect amount of resistance to stay in position, but then not have to fight it when you want to change things. Now, once we look at the throw itself, we see how wild this is. The RS1 parallax goes from infinity all the way down to a staggering 10 yards. That means you can keep a crisp image of items all the way out to 1,000 and beyond, along with dialing it down to items that are just in front of you. Here you can see I actually cut the parallax too close, and I had to go out just a bit in parallax in order to focus on these leaves again. And then you can also peel back on the zoom, and you can see just what that 2.5 and low-end parallax gives you in terms of close range engagement. To say I'm impressed would be a disservice to this scope. It's just totally crazy that the 2.5x is fully functional because you can bring that parallax so close to almost CQB engagement distances. Well, I guess I would need to put this scope on bricks if I was shooting at something 6 inches away like the cool guys do though. But that's all the tests, and I'll say that the Maven RS1 pretty much killed it, except for the illumination because, they didn't include it. And I have to say, I do really like that they just dropped it and then focused on some other scope features instead of having that baked in and just doing it half-ass like we do see on some other scopes. All right, though, let's do a couple more bits of testing. Let's do some close range testing, and then we'll hit the range after that. And here you can see how genius me somehow got the focus messed up again. Whatever, you'll get the idea. Even with the targets at 10 yards, you can see how the Maven still does functionally well as a close range scope. The MOA reticle did superb in keeping my eyes locked in the center of the reticle and allowed me to transition quickly from target to target without any issue. And I'm pretty impressed that a mid-range scope that can also go all the way up to 15x is able to do that. Yeah, I'm loving it. All right, let's do what we do though and actually get some long-range shooting with this guy. Of course, the reticle is out of focus now because I'm a dope, but the first thing I did was take advantage of the MOA reticle and set a nice 50-yard zero. I got some of the math wrong and didn't do nearly enough clicks, so I had to shoot far more shots than I usually do. I don't do MOA usually, and it was my own fault. Like 14 clicks to adjust, I don't know, it just didn't seem right. Trust the math, it's probably right. Oh, we're also using S&B 77 grain that I reviewed a while ago and we talked about. But big thanks to True Shot Gun Club for supplying this ammo for today. After some fiddling, I did get her all set and dialed in. Now, I used this platform a lot with this ammo, so I was able to just add the Maven scope into the Strelok Pro app and get all my ballistic data. Then we moved over the 300 to see if the app got it all right. Well, looks good to me. That 300-yard plate was really easy to see. All right, let's do some 100 to 300-yard transitions next. I don't know, it's pretty easy. I guess let's just drill the 300-yard for fun then. All right, next let's take our blurry reticle footage out to 600. Here I lined up the 430-yard target with the position on the Strelok Pro app and let her, well, perfectly dry fire. Let's actually send the bolt forward and try that again. Here you can see me impact a bit low because I wasn't trusting the app's ballistic. Once I lined up everything correctly, I was right on. I then moved over to the 600-yard gong, and I want to note just how insanely easy it is to see this gong with this scope. And I want to note, it was just the first 2 shots at 600 and they were dead on, so I guess let's do some more. Shooting out to 600 was just a little ridiculously easy and it made for a super fun day. I even went back to the 300 to verify everything was still on at closer distances. I certainly can't complain about that range day, and I do want to say that the 77 grain S&B has just been stupidly consistent from scope test to scope test. All right, though, let's move on to pros and cons. The first pro I want to mention is actually the construction and all the customization options. Everything on the Maven RS1 is smooth and refined and well thought out. Like a well-oiled machine, every controls feels like it's just floating on ball bearings, and it just screams quality when you're out using the scope in the field. Combine that with some really insane customization options on their website, and you can just do some really amazing designs with this ridiculously good housing. And I tell you what, I need Wizard Nation etched on one. All right, though, the next pro is gonna be that ridiculous parallax in that 2.5 to 15x range. Being able to dial the parallax all the way down to 10 means your 2.5x is fully functional, along with giving you the ability to dial it to infinity to give you this massive functionality all the way out to 15x magnification. And this truly defines the mid-range scope tier, and it has some functionality that just flexes hard on other scopes that don't have half this functionality. All right, though, we got one more super big pro, and it's gonna be that eye relief and that stupid glass quality. Being able to have all these features I've mentioned, but then also have an amazingly forgiving eye box and top tier glass quality, just makes the Maven RS1 one of the best overall scopes I've seen to date. The images I was able to take out of this optic were some of the best I've captured, and shooting this optic out to 600 was almost jokingly easy. And I think everything on the scope is pretty much a pro, so I guess I need some sort of con, and I do wish it had a better throw lever. The current configuration makes quick swapping between magnification ranges a little slower than I'd like, and the offering on the Maven website doesn't seem to have the same refinement as the rest of the Maven scope housing. I just can't maximize the idea of a mid-range scope if I have to fumble just changing the magnification. And I could just leave the magnification at like 12x or so and then just use the top dot, But then why not just have a fixed 12x power scope? Yeah, a 12x fixed power scope with like a red dot baked in, but I'm going off on a tangent. Okay, the last con is actually gonna be, I wish the reticle had a little bit more baked into it. Now, I wanna say the MOA2 reticle is extremely nice and was very, very easy to use. But when compared to powerhouses like the Griffin reticle, I would have liked to see some horizontal and vertical ranging, along with a little more function in the actual reticle. Like right the 10 and 20 MOA diamonds, they weren't really super useful. Like I don't really know what those are supposed to be in reference to. I mean, it's probably just me not knowing what I'm doing. Now, one con I'm not gonna mention is the actual illumination. I really do like that they scrapped it and just focused on making a stupidly good scope instead of just trying to make it work. But let's see, after all these tests and everything we've used it for, just where the Maven RS1 ended up on our list. And I thought this over and I placed the Maven RS1 in second place. The superb controls and jaw-dropping parallax and glass quality vaulted this optic to the top of the list. But the weapon system of the Griffin is insanely tough to beat, and it's amazing the Maven guys made a scope that goes toe-to-toe with a powerhouse such as the Primary Arms GLX 2.5-10. Overall, I think the Maven is an absolutely great scope, particularly if you want MOA, like this is probably the scope I would recommend to you, and I just shot it so incredibly well. And I did even sneak some footage of the Pulsar Proton on this guy that you'll see in the future. And I'll tell you now, there's nothing quite like trying to review thermal clip-ons. But I hope this review of the Maven RS1 was helpful in your purchasing decisions. I want to say thanks to all of our Patreon supporters and our YouTube members. Thanks for making all this possible, where we get to see all this cool stuff and do all these cool giveaways and even the Wheel of Doom that you guys all suffer through. I just absolutely love all of it. And I want to say thanks to everyone that likes, comments, and subscribes. Comment down below what you thought about this Maven RS1 glass quality. All right, everyone, Walsh out. And dropping the 1X airplanes. I don't want to hear anybody complain. I have a cold, and you're lucky you got this video. All right. Take care.